As global mobility continues to expand, more and more Indian families now have financial and personal ties to the US. But alongside the promise of opportunity comes a very complicated web of taxes that can erode hard earned wealth if not handled properly. For Indians with US connections, whether as citizen, green card holders, residents, or even investors, state planning has evolved from a very luxury into kind of necessity. Without a careful design plan, a large portion of wealth is at risk of being swallowed up by taxes, legal fees, and administrative delays. Not because of restlessness, but because of a failure to understand how the US and Indian law intersect. Let me tell you, this explainer unpacks how Indians with US ties can actually protect their assets, lower their tax burdens, and secure their families' long-term financial health. The United States imposes an estate tax of up to 40% on the worldwide assets of US citizens and the residents. In 2025, the exemption is $13.61 million per person. But unless Congress acts, this will sharply drop to about $7 billion in 2026. Now, this looming change has created a sense of urgency among globally mobile families. Look at this way. On the Indian side, inheritance tax was abolished in 1985, but India still imposes a tax on gifts. Any amount over 50,000 rupees a year to non-relatives is taxed as income in the recipient's hand. The absence of an estate or inheritance tax treaty between India and the US creates further challenges as families kind of risk facing double taxation, complex reporting requirements, and expensive errors when transferring assets across border. You know what? The numbers speaks for themselves. In 2025, the US estate tax exemption stands at $13.61 million, and the top estate tax rate is 40%. India, while free of inheritance tax, has a gift tax threshold of 50,000 rupees per year for non-relatives. In the meantime, the US annual gift exclusion allows $18,000 per recipient per year to be given away tax-free. These figures shape the strategies that high net worth families must consider to reduce their tax burden. Well, many families make critical mistakes that can cost them millions. One of the biggest common misconception is assuming that Indian assets are safe from US taxes. But US citizens and residents are taxed on their worldwide holding, which includes Indian real estate, bank accounts, and investments. Similarly, people often forget that holding a US green card makes an individual a US tax resident, even if they live in India full time. And on the top of that, Indian financial account often trigger US reporting requirements under FBAR and FATCA, carrying severe penalties if mishandled. Let me tell you that a failure to use trusts, gifting strategy, or special arrangements like qualified domestic trusts lead many families to misvalue opportunities to safeguard their wealth. There are several key strategies that Indian families should embrace. US citizens can make annual gift of $18,000 per recipient tax-free, and the $13.61 million lifetime gift exemption allows for large asset transfer ahead of 2026 rollback. Families with non-US citizen spouses can set up a Q dot, enabling assets to pass without immediate US estate tax. Separate wills for Indian and the US assets can actually help avoid cross-border probate conflict, and setting up irrevocable trusts can move assets out of the taxable assets while preserving some control for the family. Also, wait, consider a practical example here. Imagine a Silicon Valley entrepreneur of Indian origin holding a US citizenship may have $10 million in the US real estate and $10 million in Indian property. Without planning the $20 million estate and subtracting the $13.61 million exemption leaves a taxable estate of about $6.39 million. staggering roughly around $2.5 million in US estate tax. Now, with proper strategies like lifetime gifting, QDOTs, trusts, and separate will, the taxable estate can be reduced below the exemption level, saving the family of over $2 million in tax. But yes, this issue is not just a matter of personal wealth, it's a matter of national interest as well. As India's economy rises, a new generation of globally connected Indian families is emerging. By adopting sophisticated estate planning, Indian origin families can preserve their wealth, shield Indian asset, avoid unnecessary payment to foreign tax system, and help build intergenerational prosperity that strengthen India's global footprint. This is ultimately about showing that global success can be sustained not just through ambition but through wisdom and preparation. The immediate next steps are kinda clear. Families should review their citizenship and tax residency status, inventory global asset, and draft will that cover both India and the US assets, and also consult with any cross-border tax and estate attorneys. With the US estate tax exemption set to shrink after 2026, the time to act is now. Strategic estate planning is no longer optional for Indians with US ties. It is the key to protecting legacies, avoid double taxing, and proving that Indians' excellence can endure across borders and generations.